Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome to another Friday here on the Motion Design Hotline. Thanks for coming and hanging out. This is going to be another great, exciting episode. All this month, we've been having interviews with mostly people who both have more awards than I do and who know more things than me. So I am thrilled today to bring another how to say a pioneer in the field, someone who has a very long list of credits on IMDb. Look him up, and I don't know, he's one of the most prolific, I think, motion designers working today, who's worked with just about every piece of kit possible, and these days is really on the cutting edge of real-time technology, something that holds a lot of promise, I think, for a lot of us. It is Jonathan Winbush. Hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing? Love the intro. Appreciate it. Put a lot of pressure on me there.
I don't know about that. We only have the mildest takes, the least controversial takes on things on this show. So everything we say is true. And like, just to get off the jump, for people who may not know you or maybe not familiar with your work, in your own words, I suppose, how would you tell people what you're doing these days?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, I'm a motion graphics artist, but I consider myself just like I guess a new age Renaissance man because motion graphics is so generic in the term. It's kind of like I like to dabble in all types of different things. Like I started off in art school learning like 3D Max and combustion and doing VFX and then jumping into After Effects and Cinema 4D and XSI and like I've been doing it since like 2006. So it's just kind of like my brain is just kind of scattered. I'm like, oh, what's this program? Oh, what's this program? So I kind of jump all over the place. But at the end of the day, my bread and butter is doing motion graphics for television and movies, doing title sequences and CG explainer graphics and, anything of the sort. So if it has a screen on it, I'm designing and animating for it.
That's right. I mean, even if the screen is right in front of your eyeballs, because I think you're one of the first people to do virtual reality music videos. Is that that one's on you? And so I guess the first thing I kind of want to talk about, if we may, is I would love to kind of talk about sort of how you got to where you're at in your career. We were talking a little bit before about how you grew up in Pittsburgh and there wasn't so much of like an art scene out there, but how do you go from a small kid in Pittsburgh into, I don't know, living it up in California? You're living the dream out there now.
Yeah, I mean, as we were saying before, I've always grown up just kind of geeky. Like even before comic books were cool, I was hanging out at comic book shops. I have like the entire first 2 seasons of the Topps collection when they did like the Marvel cards back in the day. Like that's how geeky I was. Like I collected all of them. I have all the holograms, all the special glitched editions and everything. But then from there, go to Magic the Gathering. But then after playing that stuff, I would have to go to football and basketball practice. So I was just, again, like scattered all over the place. But I've always had a love for the arts. Like I wish I could draw. That's something that I've never been able to do. And so just, growing up and seeing like all these leaps in technology, like seeing Toy Story first and never seeing anything like that before. And then seeing The Matrix when I'm in high school and I'm just like, this stuff is crazy. And then once I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to do post high school, I was at ITT Tech as a programmer and just programming just didn't really jive with me at all. But then someone was like, why don't you look at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh? And so I started to look into it. I went down there for game art initially, but since I can't draw, they wouldn't accept me into the program. But the tour guide was like, we're starting up a motion graphics course down here. This is like the very first semester. Can I take you of a tour of like some of the stuff we're building in the basement? So, I took the tour and they built like this giant green screen facility down underneath the building. And they were like trying to simulate some of the stuff they were doing in the Matrix. Like they had someone hanging on ropes in the rafters and these kids are running along the walls. And I'm like, what are they doing here? And they're like, oh yeah, they're trying to recreate the Matrix. And I'm like, we could do that? And they're like, yeah, we have the programs to do it. So I immediately jumped on board, went full steam ahead at the Art Institute, like no days off. I got my bachelor's degree in 3 years instead of 4, just because I was having so much fun there and eager to work. And then long story short, I was sending out my reel back in the day after I graduated, and this is back when you burn it to a DVD and mail it to the facilities. Like there was no Vimeo and
Right. You have to
YouTube was
physically send it somewhere.
yeah, so I'm mailing out my disc to everywhere on the West Coast just because like I'd never been there before, and I didn't really like the only two places really to work back then was New York and LA. And so I didn't like New York too much just because I'm claustrophobic. So I'm like, let me give LA a try. So I sent my disc out to every company that I could find online. Somebody at Happy Madison happened to be from Pittsburgh, one of the assistants there, and I saw my Pittsburgh address on there. So they just randomly opened up the envelope, saw my demo reel, gave me a call, and they're like, if you're ever in town, we'd love to talk to you. We like your work. And I'm just like, shoot, I could be there tomorrow. And they're like, well, aren't you in Pittsburgh? And I was like, yeah, but I'll be there tomorrow. And they're like, no, if you're ever in town, just look us up. So I think it was around tax return time, and I just got my tax return check. So I spent my entire check on an overnight flight to LA, showed up at the Happy Madison doorstep the next day, just asking for that person that saw my stuff. I finally ran into her. They gave me an interview, and I guess they were impressed because they gave me an internship right off the bat. And then, yeah, from there, the rest is history. I interned with Sandler for 6 months, and then they brought me on staff for another three years from there. And yeah, I got to work on a whole lot of stuff there. That was a great place to work at.
Man, that is crazy. That is one of those stories that, like, that itself turns into a movie, man. Like it's wild, that kind of perseverance. It's really interesting that, I think a lot of people's careers, there's someone who like gives you a break, and then you're in the door, and that's how it goes. But like, man, you have such a work ethic, and I want to kind of drill down that a bit, because you have, like, your body of work is so broad in terms of all the projects you've worked on. Like, I saw you have a lot of things on your reel and on your credit on the Discovery Channel, right? Like, there's a lot of Discovery Channel stuff on there. Like, when I think about the volume of work that entails, like, how many hours a day are you working on these things?
Well, it used to be a lot,
Right.
Because a lot of the stuff that I was doing for Discovery, they do a lot of shows up in Alaska. Like I work on The Deadliest Catch, Alaska Last Frontier, Alaskan Bush People, just a lot of stuff in Alaska.
Right.
So a lot of times, like if you watch any of these shows, these people are kind of like old school pioneers. Like they have these big plots of lands, and they're always like building these crazy contraptions just for whatever they're trying to do up there, whether it's like fishing or building an outhouse or something crazy. And so what the episodes usually are, like they usually find like a theme, like, okay, we want to build this outhouse because our old one is all shot down or whatever. We need to move a new location. And so they'll hit me up and say like, hey, we want to show like a CG representation of what they're trying to build. And then throughout the episode, it's going to show what they actually build. And so they'll send me kind of like a bunch of shots of them like putting this stuff together. And then for me, I'm putting together just like maybe like a 10 to 15 second like CG explainer, like, hey, here's the outhouse and this is what they're hoping it's going to look like. And then, I'm doing a lot of those type of graphics there. And just, yeah, I put a lot of hours into those because of render times alone. Like you're building big wilderness scenes. So a lot of pine trees, a lot of snow, a lot of, just foliage and rocks and soil and stuff there. And those render times could get pretty extensive. So I actually had like 4 machines here that I'm rendering. I started with Octane, I moved to Redshift, and then, most recently moved to Unreal Engine, which kind of saved my sanity because it's now I can render this stuff in the fly. But before I would have to render overnight, wake up in the morning praying that my renders were perfect, because if they weren't, it's right. Like, man, I have to band-aid this somehow so I can hit my delivery today. So yeah, a lot of stressful years about working on this stuff, but it's a lot of fun as well.
Well, it's really interesting. Like I remember back in the day, because starting out, like I never had powerful computers. I was working off a laptop when I started, and like, okay, I'm gonna set this laptop now. If it goes ding at night, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do something about it. It's like, well, what a horrible thing to do with your time.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know because I know we talked a little bit about real time technology, and I know that's what you're jumping into now with Unreal Engine. this is a buzzword, right? I was at NAB last year when there was an NAB. And just a heads up, Mashbebot in the chat. Next time he sees you at NAB, he'd like to challenge you to a Magic the Gathering game. So just a heads up on that.
I'm a little rusty, but I tried playing on Xbox maybe like a year ago and was just getting smashed. I'm like, I'm not what I used to be.
Look, there are too many new mechanics. Okay, I'm not going to pick up a deck again. I've given it up cold turkey. I'll never split open a booster pack, but. I remember last year, I guess it was last year, time is slipping away, but that was the buzzword around the entire convention. It was all about real-time in production, real-time in rendering, real-time kind of broadcast. This would have been when The Mandalorian was in production.
Yeah.
So everybody was going nuts about that stuff. And for me, personally, I was like, well, I don't really get it. What am I missing here? What am I missing with this interesting? I get VR, I get this. So maybe for those out there who are maybe not already on board or are not familiar, maybe just could you tell them a little bit about like what when we're talking about real time, what do we mean when we're using these buzzwords?
Yeah, so it's a bit crazy because, I was at NAB last year as well. You see like the big Ross stations and they're broadcasting live. I think around that time, more people were using it for like news segments or like ESPN, things of that nature. Like you build like a virtual set and then you would just have your talent on green screen. And like I saw like these crazy arm cranes that were able to like track everything in real time. So it looks like they're in a set that they're not actually in. They're just in like a green screen. And so I know a lot of people are looking for like for that type of stuff. And then, like you said, the Mandalorian stuff came out. And then instead of using green screens, they were actually using like LED walls, which are essentially just, like big monitors or big screens. And so you're able to put your environment on these screens and then have your talent in front of it. Then you would just kind of like set dress your set just to kind of blend everything in. But then it's like you don't have to do any type of keying in post anymore. Like what you're seeing is what you're getting because the background is actually able to track to your camera because everything's running in real time in Unreal. And so I know a lot of virtual production stuff like that, it was getting really big in. But for us in motion graphics, it was kind of just like us on the outside looking in. But then when I was at SIGGRAPH last year, they Epic made the announcement that they were upgrading their Datasmith plugin to allow seamless integration between Cinema 4D and Unreal. So when I saw that, and then I saw one of the guys from Capacity, their studio here in LA, they actually been using Unreal Engine for a lot of their stuff because they do a lot of gaming trailers like Rocket League and I want to say Hearthstone and stuff like that. So they're already using gaming elements that they're getting from the studios, I guess. And instead of bringing that into like cinema, it's like they're just bringing over stuff from cinema that they needed, but they're doing most of their production in Unreal. And when I saw their talk, I'm like, that makes total sense. Like, why aren't more people using like this real-time technology? Because they're talking about like, their clients had notes and they're able to show them like the adjustments that they're making on the fly and stuff like that. Like they don't have to say like, oh yeah, we'll take down all your notes and we'll get back to you in like a day or two because we have to re-render this. It's like, oh, you want this moved over here? Okay, no problem. Here you go. And they're just like, so it's those type of leaps, and it allows you to be a lot more creative because you don't have to worry about like time restraints with rendering and things of that nature. But I took that all just with, I'm a big tech nerd. And so once I saw that, I ran home immediately, downloaded Unreal, started playing with my own test. I finally figured it out because there was no documentation on it. So I put up a tutorial on it. And it kind of just steamrolled from there because people were asked, like I went to SIGGRAPH the very next day and I'm talking to Paul from Maxon and he was like, dude, you're quick. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, how in the heck did you figure that stuff out? Because Maxon didn't even know about it. Like this is something that Epic put out. And so it just been kind of like that kind of helped build our relationship there. And I guess you could say I've been kind of like the guy spreading the gospel for real-time and motion graphics, just kind of organically. But it's been definitely a strange one because like I think like a lot of motion graphics artists did at first, like, hey, I'm going to take my scene from Cinema 4D, just bring it into Unreal and just render it and be good to go. But that wasn't the case. Everything doesn't translate one-to-one because they're different applications. And so over the past year, I just had to start really like training my brain to think differently. Like I've been watching a lot of seminars from Unreal themselves, and they always have like game artists on there and stuff. And once I started thinking like a game developer, it just kind of like clicked for me. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is how I should be working. And so that's kind of like, I know that's one of the big hurdles that a lot of motion graphics artists are kind of trying to figure out right now, because everybody just wants to take their scene, utilize real time, and go home. But we're not to that point yet.
Man, well, it's funny that you say like needing to reformat like people's thinking, right? That if you don't think the way the software wants you to think, of course that's going to be frustrating, right? Like, I don't know. I think a lot of your success in this stuff is that like you really seem to like spend your time and have that I don't know what we're talking about. Like I think the band Weezer. It's like we would call it shed time. Like this, when we go, we produce the album, we isolate with this technology or this concept, and then we come out, we have the product, right?
Right.
And, oh boy, now if I can think of any Weezer albums that sounded significantly different than other Weezer albums, but it's kind of that interesting thing where if deep knowledge of the technology is really rewarding to the process. So. I think some of the gripes I was hearing people say is that they needed to bake their scene in order to put it into the Unreal Engine, right?
Yeah, I saw
but like,
that.
is that like a reasonable expectation for people? I would just say this because, like we were saying, think like a game person. Like, what does that sort of mean when you're gonna think more when you want to work real time? What does it mean to think real time? I guess.
Yeah, I did answer. I know the tweet that you're talking about. I did a calm response to it. I did because the guy. I mean, it was total. It was misinformation, I guess you could say. But like you don't. So I understood it because you think that you need to. I'm not sure what he meant by bake everything. Like I don't know if he meant like the lighting or his keyframes or whatever. Like I know that. From coming from Cinema 4D, some of the stuff doesn't translate one to one. So sometimes, like if you're doing something special, you might need to bake your keyframes just to bring it into Unreal, because Unreal will take everything literally. Like, okay, this keyframe, this keyframe, this keyframe. I understand what this is, but if you only have something animating with just like 2 keyframes, it's not going to know what's going in between because it's coming from a different system. So it's going to translate it the best way that it knows how. And so like my latest tutorial that I did with Epic, I kind of showed how I had to bake out some of the dynamics and stuff like that. But it's really not as crazy as he was making it out to be. And then the lighting, you only have to bake your lighting if you have like a really old system. So Unreal is a game engine, and these things are used to working for like PlayStations and Xboxes and Nintendos and things of that nature. So sometimes as a game developer, you have to kind of pick and choose where you want to kind of have like your most performance at. And so like if you have like a lot of geometry in your scene, that might not play well on like an Xbox. So one way to kind of boost that performance is to bake your lighting in your scene, which basically means you have static lighting. So your shadows aren't going to be like dynamically moving and things of that nature. But with the stuff that we're doing for motion graphics, we're not worried about those like hardware limitations. So everything that I do is all dynamic. Like I don't do any baking or anything. Like I bring in my lights, I make them dynamic, and then whatever's happening on the screen is moving as you're supposed to move. And so, yeah, there is some misinformation there, but I think it's one of those things where people, they spend their whole lifetime like mastering one thing, and then they see something else coming. And so it's kind of like, you don't want to.
Well, it's an interesting mentality, right? Because I think everybody knows that I mostly use After Effects, and sometimes I dip into other things. But, using a tool does format you to think in terms of that tool, but also to try to defend territory or to try to, I don't know, to like new information is coming in. I'm not going to listen to it in the way that it's intended, right? Like that's definitely, I think, like a big hampering to people's kind of careers. I always think about like anytime new technology shows up, right? I think you really need to absorb it and try to see what is there for me, right?
Yeah, like how can you use this to your advantage? Like if you want to wait 2 days for a render, that's perfectly fine with me. Like I want to, like I like to work instantly, so I just have more time to be creative. And so I mean, I get frustration sometimes. Like, I would love to learn Houdini. Like, I see some of the stuff that Houdini artists are doing with like fluids and, just like destruction simulations. And I open it and I'm just like, man, I like, I don't know what's going on here. It's like I tinker with it and get frustrated and just close it. But I'm not going to say like, Houdini, that's for such and such. Like, that's never going to take off type thing. It's just like, I couldn't make it work for me, but the people that are using it, I mean, they're great with it. So, more power to them. But yeah, I would never, I guess for say like try to like you said, damper on any new technologies coming out. I'm always just like, how can I make this work for me to help me with my workflow and allow me to work faster so that I can spend more time outside and not in front of the computer.
Well, so one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know like in your stuff, it really seems like you're early to get into things and early to jump on stuff, right? Like you have such an enthusiasm for newness.
Yeah.
In a way that I personally have a trepidation about newness, right? Like
really?
new things are kind of scary to me sometimes. Like, okay, so the example I have is, remember like the first editions of Google Glass?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like, I got really excited about that. And then I was made very sad when that really didn't pan out. Man, I want to be in Star Trek so bad. I want a holodeck. I want those things to happen. But for me, there is kind of like an investment, right? An investment not only in time, but in sometimes technology, right? Like if you want to play in the Oculus Rift, you want to play in VR, you're going to need to get some hardware, right? Like,
yeah. How
do you kind of balance some of those forces when new things are coming out? Like, one thing that I would say is like someone was saying to me that they had to choose at one point whether they were going to go for the Unreal Engine or whether they're going to go for like, what was the other one that they were talking about? It was because they were doing VR at the time, right?
So and they had
Unity. Yeah, and they had to pick a side, right? Because like, well, we can only really invest in one of these. Like when those kinds of decisions come up or when new things come up, like how do you evaluate whether that's something that you want to jump on?
Yeah, so when the VR stuff, like I was working on that 2015, 2016, just when like the infancy of like the Oculus DK2 was coming out and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I was faced with that dilemma as well. And back then, the game engines were really hardcore. Like they weren't as friendly as they are now. So Unreal and Unity, you really had to know what you're doing as like a coder, and you had to really be in that gaming ecosystem to understand it and be able to utilize it for VR. And excuse me, the funny thing is my friend, he used to work for Oculus. Like they were literally like 10 minutes away from me before they got bought out by Facebook. And so he invited my son and I to come check out some prototype stuff they were working on. And it's one of those things where it's like you had to see it to believe it, because I was always skeptical about VR too until I put it on. And then we were like, man, this is amazing. And that first thing I was thinking is, how can I start creating stuff like this? And my friend told me, he's like, yeah, this is more for game developers and not really for motion graphics artists. Like the tools aren't there and nobody's going to pick it up in your scene. So I kind of took that as a personal challenge and I downloaded Unity. I tried to learn it, got frustrated, threw it to the side. But then I'm just like, I know 3D. I know the concepts of 3D. I'm good at 3D. How can I take my knowledge of 3D and everything that I've learned over the years and utilize it for this cool platform? And so there was Octane. I had Octane and Cinema 4D at the time, which would allow you to render out like a 360 sphere from from Cinema 4D. And then you could take that 360 sphere and then you could bring that into like a 360 player that will work on the Oculus. And so this is what they call passive VR, but it was just my footstep into VR at least. And so I started like trying to manipulate the tools to work in my favor. And at the time, After Effects didn't really have any VR tools there. And so I was just kind of making it work I was bending the way that I was thinking, because you have like this equitangular thing that's like all fish linged and warped. And I'm just taking like the stuff I'm trying to composite and just trying to manually bend it to make it work. And then I put on the headset and I'm just like, oh man, that's working. So that's kind of like how I did my first VR experience. And then I came across those guys, Chris and Nancy at Metal, that were making VR stuff for After Effects. So I linked up with them. I showed them what I was working on, and they sent me the tools, and that made it a lot easier. And then from there, it's just like I'm doing a lot of 360 work in After Effects and just showing people like, hey, you can do this stuff as a motion graphics artist. And I felt like that was a challenge that I completed because, I was all my VR films went on the Cannes Film Festival. I went out to Beijing, China to headline the VR festival out there and things of that nature. And I'm not doing gaming VR, like I'm doing passive VR. So it was just kind of a testament to if when there's a will, there's a way kind of. So I made it work with After Effects, even though it wasn't really supposed to. But yeah, we made it happen.
Man, I love that. Like that is sort of I hope for the good people who are watching that this is sort of helping them kind of get past some of their own perhaps trepidations as well. Like it's I don't know. And people of the chat, I would encourage you, because this is a live show, if you have any questions for our esteemed guest, do let us know. We want to get your questions in the chat. So if people have any questions about workflows, about Unreal, about real time, then I would love to know. And in fact, I would love it if we could jump in and just have a little look at. I know you've got a lot of tutorials out there. You've got an excellent YouTube channel full of things. You've been doing a series recently of animating the Unreal logo, right? You've been going through those, and the variety of things you could do in the engine, I think, is really interesting because I'm gonna love with you. A lot of times I see third-party rendering. A lot of the stuff kind of looks the same. So, like I know that like that's how design trends work, right? That well, this person's doing volumetric lights, and that's pretty cool. So everyone's gonna do some volumetric lights, right? But it's really great to see kind of how the system flexes. So I'd love to know a little bit more about kind of that series and kind of what you're doing with the good people of Unreal these days that people can go check out.
Yeah, so a couple of months ago, like it was something in the works that people at Epic, they saw what I was doing on YouTube and things like that. I think it started during NAB. They saw I did the C4D live intro for Maxon, and I did all that with a combination of Cinema 4D and Unreal. And one of the guys from Epic was actually on that show with me. He spoke, I think, like right before me, and we kind of just chopped it up from there because he saw me utilizing the two platforms together. And so we were kind of just, like gradually talking throughout the months. And then I brought it to him. I was like, you know what? It'd be cool if I can officially animate the Unreal Engine logo because that'd be something cool to have at least on my portfolio, on my resume. And I could show like the process of how I made this and try to get, the word out for more motion graphics artists, because that's a big push that they're trying to make, especially with the latest versions of Unreal. Like you'll notice when you go into like the template section, they actually have one now called film and television because they're really trying to, think outside the box on like other artists that could utilize their technology. And so he talked to his boss over there, and they thought it was a great idea. So I signed up to be an Epic partner, and I have a series with them now. So it's a five video deal. And so I'm already in 2 videos in. Basically, I take the Unreal Engine logo, and then I just kind of animate it in like a variety of different type of themes. Like the first one I call Naturalistic. Then the second one I call Geometric. And I can show you those guys. I can show you that here. Let me bring up my screen share.
Yeah. Let's share it up. Let's see what people can enjoy here. Let's see. I'm going to just go ahead and toggle us over to Screentown. So what are we looking at here? We got Cinema 4D up. We got Unreal up. What do we? Let me show you. I can show you these first couple of bumpers. So this is the geometric one, the one I showed at IBC. So this just kind of took me out of my comfort zone. Like I really never designed with like bright colors and just like random shapes before. So I kind of took that as a challenge to myself to kind of just think outside of my normal box and come up with some cool abstract animations here. And the people at Unreal loved it. So this was a really cool one to work on. And then this is the very first one that I put out. This one is called Naturalistic. And basically this one I was thinking would showcase more of the Megascans assets and just kind of give like a really easy breakdown of how we could bring our stuff from cinema into Unreal and think like a gamer. Like this is like really inspired by like Tomb Raider or Indiana Jones. I was trying to get those type of vibes in there for this. And so
if I close this down, I can actually show you my project file here live. So this is that Naturalistic project, and this is just inside of Cinema 4D. And so if you notice, I just have a really simple camera move in here. Like I have the Unreal Engine logo spinning there. I have these rock boulders here. These are more just for like blocking out my scene, because the way that game engine people work is they kind of like to build out their scenes. Like a lot of them are coming from Houdini and Maya. So they call it like grade level boxing, and they'll just use like really, really basic geometry in their scene, kind of just sketch their, I guess you could call it sketching, but like in 3D. And then they bring that from the 3D application into Unreal. And that's really where they start putting in the fine details. And so I'm starting to try to think a little bit more like that. So I'm just putting like real basic stuff in here. Like I have these rock cliffs. They're in here from Megascans, which if I open this up, this is Megascans, which if you have an Epic account, you have all this stuff absolutely free. This is all photogrammetry stuff that the people at Quixel have been making. So there's like thousands and thousands of these cool, really cool 3D assets, and they're all photoreal. Like usually if you just scroll through here, they'll show you the most recent stuff to put up. But like this stuff is cool right here, like industrial barrels. Basically, they take like thousands of photos around a barrel. Then they use their software to make a photogrammetry photoreal object based off of all those photos. And they're pretty detailed in there. So, I mean, you could get as detailed as you want. Like if you want to bring in like a low poly version, you have that. Or if you want to bring in a really high, like film quality asset, like they use this stuff for the Jungle Book and Call of Duty and things of that nature. So it's like you have all the same assets that big Hollywood films are using at your disposal as well, which I think is really cool. But
that's really interesting. Like, because this is the kind of thing that I talk about with pre-production all the time, is that, well, let's get a rough look at it. Let's get a look at what the composition is going to be from like just a design perspective, because it works, right? Like your camera movement is great. The movement of resolving things is flawless. Like it's, those things are not going to change.
Right.
And between like, and you can nail them down quite quickly, I think, when you're able to like be looser about your design. I don't know. It's really interesting.
You don't have to lock anything in. You just get a loose idea of what you want to accomplish. And that's something that comes with experience too. Like I've been working in the cinema since 2006. So it's kind of like I know the camera in there better. So I do my camera moves in cinema. I just like, I'm able to navigate a lot better. So I'll do as much as I can in cinema. And then once I get into Unreal, it's kind of just like I'm populating around my skeleton. Like this is what the final resolve looks like. And then this is the cliff that I originally brought in from cinema. And then all I did was take and duplicate it a bunch of times in here. And then if I break out on my camera, I kind of came over and I built some like atmospheric effect stuff. So I have like a little candle lit here with a little bit of foliage and just kind of like set decorating, I guess you could say at that point. And the tools inside of Unreal are crazy. Like here, let me see if I have this set up, because this is my favorite one. Yeah, here we go. So this is the foliage tool. So let's say like I have these ferns right here. If I activate these ferns, you can see right here, I have like this dome, which is my paintbrush. So I'll just click and I'm dragging and I'm painting these ferns on my geometry.
What?
Which is crazy. Which is crazy because it's like I'm used to doing this stuff manually in cinema. And it's just like I'll pick out, like I'll go to Megascans and let's say, to search for like grass or something.
I had to prevent myself from cussing on this program,
So it's like I look up grass. They have all these different type of grass in here. It's like I could kind of just pick it, export it, throw it into that foliage tool, and then just start painting away, which is ridiculous because I could spend a whole day building just like, picking out the polygons that I want to put the grass on and trying to use the MoGraph cloner to try to manipulate that. But then I come here and it's just like, oh, just click and drag. There you go. So that's like something crazy there that I love showing people. And then we pull back to my
camera. I guess, I think the interesting thing is that if someone was trying to do all that in Cinema 4D and then bring it into Unreal, that would be upsetting. But having the basic structure and then painting on it in Unreal, like that looks so nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's very intuitive. Like I don't have to select this geometry. Like say I want to come over here and it automatically knows. So I just start clicking and dragging and boom, it's painting on that surface there. So it's pretty crazy how intuitive this stuff is. And it's like I don't really know the particle system in Unreal that great, but you can see like I have these real-time fireflies flying around my scene here. So it was basically as easy as going to the Epic Games launcher and then just coming over to the marketplace. If it's going to work here. And then basically like the thing I've been finding is if I have an idea, then I usually come to the marketplace and just search for it because more than likely somebody made it. So if I come to here and type in particle system, you see a bunch of stuff here that you can buy, but there's also this free tab here. So if I click on free, boom, we have a bunch of, actually, this is the one I used here, but it's like we have all these particle systems already built out that we could just take this. Like, let me say, if I click on this here, basically you just click add the project and it's drag and drop from there. Like we were saying, like how we built with Legos earlier is literally like that. Like it works with particles, it works with geometry, textures. I mean, they have like crazy free stuff in here. Like if I come to permanent collection, you can see we have like all this foliage stuff in here. We have lighting kits. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like you don't have to know. Like if you came in just as like not knowing any type of 3D, it's like you can still get started. Like you can pull from a variety of these assets here and just start building away.
Yeah, I'm thinking like for students who are just starting out, like you can't do better than free for
exactly
for learning resources. Like granted, there's a lot of really interesting like kit bash stuff. There's a lot of great paid things that support a lot of artists. However, I will say that when you're starting out, and I know a lot of people who watch this channel are also very budget conscious people. I really am just blown away by not only the quantity of things, but like the quality of stuff. Yeah. I'm still thinking about those ferns too. It's
I mean, this is 4K wood from what they'll do is they actually pay the artist here. So like this is made by this guy named Carol Detroit. They found some high quality assets and they're like, hey, we like this stuff. We think our community can use it. Can we buy this from you? And I'm not sure if it's royalties or what, or how these guys are compensated, but I definitely know that they're compensated for bringing their stuff to the marketplace. And then also you'll see a tab here, free for the month. And so this stuff is up for just a month. But like if you put it into your shopping cart, then it's 100% yours to use forever. So I think it's every first Tuesday of the month. They usually switch this stuff out. But as long as you catch it before the month is out, it's like you have all these free assets, which if you look at my library, I mean, I've been collecting stuff since last year. So I have like LUT packs in here, which is crazy. We could use LUTs in Unreal. I have tornado effects, materials. I mean, it's pretty wild. Like, let me show you this. If I come over to, not to turn this into like an Unreal party here, but
no, please. Yeah.
If I, this is called the post-process volume, which is really powerful. So you can see we have a tab here called color grading, which if I pull this down, I can actually start pulling up color scopes and I can actually do color grading within Unreal Engine here, which is pretty wild. And not only that, like I was saying, we have the LUT pack. Like this is, let me see if I can find it. And this was all on the marketplace. So if I come down here to, here it is, amplified LUTs. We have like it's almost like Magic Bullet looks for After Effects. So if I come down to popular looks, we have like blockbuster looks, and sometimes they take them like based off of movies and stuff. Like this one, World War I. If I click and drag it in here, you can see it change the dynamic of my scene. So I'm just, clicking and dragging these LUTs into my scene here and getting all these different type of looks. Like now it looks like it's underwater or something crazy. So it's just pretty crazy, like how powerful this system is. And
well, the other thing is like how quickly this is happening. Like I don't know, like what people are probably going to ask, what kind of hardware are we dealing with here?
Okay, so this system I'm using, it is actually a Threadripper 3, the top of the line one. Okay. Shout outs to AMD. I've done a lot of sponsored stuff with them I speak a lot at their booths and stuff. So they did gift that to me. But then I do have a 2080 Ti in here, which I purchased myself. But this system is just one GPU. Like I'm used to using multiple GPUs. Like I actually just sold my old system. I had 4 1080 Ti's in it. And that was all for because I was using Redshift and stuff. But since I switched over to Unreal, it's like Unreal doesn't utilize multiple GPUs because it doesn't really have to. Like I'm able to use like one GPU and be able to use all this power in it. And I know a lot of people say like, well, that's a really high-end system, but I do have my laptop here from when I first started doing VR. Like I needed a laptop so I could travel around and do demos and stuff. And it has a mobile 1070 in it, which is about 4 years old now, and I run Unreal on that with no problem. So of course it doesn't run as fast as this system, but it's still capable of doing like automate. Like I could pretty much run this scene off of my laptop and be perfectly fine.
Man, that is pretty wild. Because I know that there's been a lot of buzz recently, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this because I know Nvidia just came out with their wonderful, 30XX, whatever, the 3080s, the 3090s. People are losing their beans about these things, about just voraciously wanting to acquire more power, right? More GPUs, more CUDA cores, whatever. It really sounds like that this is just doing more with less, right? Like it feels very efficient. Like, how do you feel about this kind of I would say like an exponential curve of hardware requirements for people coming in?
I can't say the 30 series will be utilized because like those cards, along with the 20 series, they're ray tracing capable. Like my 1080 Ti, I couldn't do any type of ray tracing stuff with it. But with the 20 and the 30s, actually the 30s are a lot better now. You have full capabilities of using ray tracing in there, which gives you a lot more realistic shadows and reflections. And it's just overall good. Plus you have more VRAM in there. So your scene can handle a lot more geometry without being bogged down. So I do see a plus side to the new GPUs that are out there, but not for the prices that I've been seeing going on eBay lately. Definitely going to hold out a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting. Like this kind of thing is neat that I think to get really jazzed for a new GPU card, but to be less jazzed for what is essentially a new direction in creation, I think is an interesting paradigm to see what's getting more buzz, right?
Yeah, like we said before, a lot of people, they spend a lot of time mastering these programs. I mean, I see some really talented artists using Octane and Redshift. And so when you spend a lot of time finally perfecting it, I can see why you wouldn't want to automatically jump into the next thing because you have to learn everything all over again. Like you still have the basic concepts of composition and how lighting works. So it's not going to be as baby step-ish, it's not like you're just coming in completely in the dark, but I can see where people are like, well, if I jump into Octane, I know exactly where all the little tricks and levers are and everything to get the look that I want. But if I go into Unreal, I'm completely lost. And so, yeah, I get what people are. They're happy to have more power because they can still use their traditional workflow and work a little bit more faster.
So. Awesome. Well, hey, let's, this is making me need to download Unreal. So let's get off of the screen share real quick.
I was going to say, can I show one more thing?
Please. Okay. One more thing.
My favorite thing to show people, real-time rendering. And so I'm going to take this scene real quick here. This is, I want to say about 600 frames. So I'll just do a JPEG for now, just for time's sake.
Okay.
So let me find, I'll just download this to my desktop here. Let's see, render. There we go. So I'm just going to render out the scene. I'm at 1080 at 60 FPS, and I want to say it's 500 to 600 frames. Let me check. Yeah, it's about 500 frames. So I have everything set up. I just hit render local here and give it a second to calculate, and you can see it's counting the frames right in front of our eyes here. So this is
the amount of time it takes to watch it is how long it takes to render.
Essentially, yes. It's only with the better cards, I can only imagine it's going to get faster if that's something you can wrap your head around. But I literally just rendered out 500 frames at 1080, 60 FPS in under 30 seconds, which at the end of the day, it's just like, why not? So.
Well, and it looks great also. Like when I think about maybe the kind of content or maybe the way that in which people are sort of consuming or distributing content, so few people are actually watching on 4K monitors, 8K monitors, right? And we're putting so much time and energy, not just human energy, but like electricity energy into this stuff. Like how much of it is finally appreciated. But I just think the ability to iterate and to alter your scene so much. I just think like, well, I don't like those ferns there. Could you just do fewer ferns, smaller ferns? Okay, now put them over there. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's crazy. I love how you can really Bob Ross your scene there, right? Like if you want,
Yeah.
if you just want a little bit of lighting over here, we'll just paint that in.
But
Man.
you touched on a great point there too, because my electricity bill is coming down a lot because I don't have to fire up all the systems for the render farm when I'm ready to render. It's kind of like I just render and then send it off to client and shut down, so I don't have to worry about like 4 to 5 machines running overnight, driving up the cost of my electric bill. It's kind of like, render, call it a day, and save on energy. So it's also environmentally friendly if you're into that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was building a new system around here, right? It's like, well, in a couple of years, I'm going to have to probably get off a Mac and probably in order to do more advanced 3D things, right? So I was thinking like, how many cards do I need to jam into this thing if I really want to do the things that I expect to do? So I got to say, this has actually inspired me a lot to look in different directions. So this has been kind of an eye-opening experience here.
Yeah, even stuff with Blender. Like I've not touched Blender before, but I have a friend, he has a YouTube channel too, and he's been just cranking out some crazy Blender stuff this year, and that's running in real time as well. So, if Unreal isn't your cup of tea, I mean, there's still Blender. They're still doing some amazing stuff over there with the EV render and stuff as well, which I know a lot of cinema artists have been saying with the rewrite of Blender. It's almost really similar in the way that they work now. I guess they redid their entire UI or something. Like I'm not a Blender guy, so I don't really know, but it's been picking out a lot of wave since last year.
Yeah, I used Blender in its early days, and that bounced me off of Blender pretty hard because it was just so unpleasant to move around and to do things,
Right.
which is why I've been afraid to touch it again. Right? There is like a real emotional connection to that tool in a lot of ways. But because I know we've only got you for a little bit more time, I want to talk about you're doing courses for mograph.com coming up. What's going to be going on over there? What can people? I'm going to drop a link. There's a link in the description if people want to get notified. But what are you doing over there? What's going on in your upcoming courses?
Yeah, so it's one of those things that there was a lot of buzz coming into this year about Unreal, but a lot of people didn't know exactly where to start. And so the guys at MoGraph, they approached me on creating like a beginner's course for motion graphics artists that want to dive into Unreal. So I've been spending a good part of the year just it even helped me just working my workflow as well. So as I'm developing the course, I was also getting better myself. So I was able to go back and rework some things just to be a little bit more efficient. But hopefully this will be a good course for anybody that, especially coming from Cinema 4D, like I use a lot of cinema in this course. And so if you're a C4D artist and you're curious about Unreal or you don't know where to start, I try to take it in a step-by-step approach, just kind of explaining how I work from cinema to Unreal. And I know a lot of the beta testers have been saying it's been helping them out a lot. So I think I'm accomplishing what I'm out to do, So yeah, if you're interested in Unreal, it's going to be up there in maybe a week or two. Like I just finished it last week and it's in beta testing phase right now. So we're hoping to put that out pretty soon here.
Awesome. Well, there's a link in the chat for everyone hanging out. There's a link in the description for folks who are watching this later on to get notified. So you can get some of that in your life. Also, if you want to learn more about, people want to learn more about Unreal, drop a link in here for that. The link to that in the description as well. So definitely check that out. Go deep into that stuff. Now I have a list of other questions for you that I've built up over a little time.
Yeah, shoot away.
Okay, here we go. Number one, you have. I couldn't help but notice you have some of the best merch. You are wearing some of it on your head right now. where look, I have very few merch things that I enjoy in life. One of them is snapback hats. The other one is socks. Who makes these things, and how can I also get some?
Yes, this is something that I need to work on next. As soon as I get done with this client project, I just not too long ago I crossed the 10,000 mark on my YouTube channel, so I can actually have like the merch tab underneath the videos now. So I signed up for a Teespring to be able to make that happen. I'm going to try to put the hats and the shirts and the stuff up on there. I just haven't had time to. But yeah, this was one of the samples that I got from Teespring a little while ago just to kind of see the quality of it and everything. So I'm going to put that up available soon. And then I'm still trying to figure out how to make a what up t-shirt just because I've had that requested a few times.
Oh, man.
So I can't mess that up. I might have to tap you for that. I need to get some good designs there for that.
Look, all I can say is you should definitely crowdsource it from people. That's the way to go. I don't know. So look, this is my latest hat acquisition. This is for the Hamilton Honey Badgers. I only buy for teams that are also memes. So this is my favorite, one of my new favorite objects that I've picked up. Anyway, this is for the Canadian Elite Basketball League, if anybody's wondering what the hell where a honey badger plays. But it's some decent basketball, I'm not gonna lie. But some other thing though, you've got in all the shots of your office, we see two things often. One is a giant stack of hardware over on the one side of you. So many awards that you've won over the years. Are there any? What would you say is kind of one of your favorites out of those? I would love to know. You have so many achievements, and like we're catching you in the middle of the ride here, right? So far, what are some of the ones that really stand out for you?
My favorite one I have to say is at the Art Institute during graduation, we have Portfolio Day. And that's where potential clients and stuff could come look at your booth and they could pick up interns or hires or whatever there. But the one thing that they do is for each program, like I said, I was in the motion graphics and VFX program. And in our little category, they have the Best of Show award. And so like I know Pittsburgh isn't known for motion graphics, so I didn't think like a lot of potential employers would be coming looking at our booth for that. But I worked my butt off just to have the best booth that I can so that I could win that Best of Show award, which I ended up winning. And that was probably my proudest moment because like a lot of the people, my counterparts there, they just had the work that we did in school on their demo reel. And I came in with this giant monitor, this giant CRT monitor that weighed like 2 tons. I almost broke the table. And I had a little DVD player hooked up to it. Like I had to order like these crazy rigs to be able to get the portable DVD player to hook up to the CRT. But I had my reel playing on this giant CRT that's like pretty much like pushing the table down. So it's already catching a lot of eyeballs. But I had work on there that none of my other classmates had because, I used to hang out in Creative Cow a lot. And so I used to, take a lot of tips and tricks from there and apply it to my own work. So I was doing a lot of personal work and I reached out like you were just talking about, like your local sports team there. Like I actually reached out to the local, not NFL team that is, I think it was called CFL. It's like a minor league for the NFL, but they didn't have a lot of press. So I was like, hey, can I do some logo animations for you guys? And they jumped all over it. So I had like that type of stuff on my reel. And, I'm just like all these different local businesses. I was just going in there like, hey, I'm just looking to get experience and build up my portfolio. And, back then I was just like, I just want it for my portfolio. So no one's going to pass up free stuff. But I had some really cool stuff on my reel that nobody else had. So I took the Best of Show award, long story short. And yeah, that was probably that's my first award and the one I'm most proud of just because of all the hard work that I put into it.
Man, that's so good. Like I'll say this, like everything in your career, like I hope you're really proud of everything you do. Cause like you're one of the hardest working people and like you're such an example, I think, to a lot of maybe young people out there who like, if you work hard, good things happen. Like it's not magic, right?
No, I definitely didn't dive into, like I made it seem easy. Like I just got a job at Happy Madison, but there is definitely some bumps in between there. Like I thought I had a job in LA and I drove across country, went to the job the day I was supposed to open and the business went under that weekend before. So I'm knocking on the door, no one's answering. And I'm just like in panic because I'd never been to LA before. No one's giving me an answer. And it's like, I had to go back to the drawing board. So yeah, definitely had some hiccups there.
This is before cell phones were normal things.
Cell phones and GPS, man.
Yeah.
It's
You've got a map of LA, your tourist map of LA in one hand, you got your Zach Morris phone in the other hand. Walking around. Oh man, that's crazy. Now the last thing I want to talk about on the other side of you that we see on almost every video, is an arcade machine back there. Right now you got Simpsons going on there, which
Yes.
is like, oh man, just I threw a lot of quarters into that. And if you have Turtles in Time, I would love to.
I do. I've had that on some. Yeah, all the Ninja. I have both original Turtles, the Simpsons, the X-Men. Yeah, all the classics.
Oh my god! So yeah, tell me a little bit about that bit of kit back there. And the other thing I want to talk to you, if you wouldn't mind, like I would love to know, because I feel like you were growing up in an age when technology like could like this is like NES is coming into the home and Virtual Boy is coming into the home. Like
Yes.
I feel like you're kind of like at that age where like you're hitting all of these kind of technological bangers that are coming on to people that are like, well, check this out. This is a great new thing. What do you think? Or like science fiction was like an evolving thing. Like, you know, how that kind of played into where you're at. Like I'd love to know more about that. Also, if you're a Star Trek or Star Wars person.
Yeah, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
But yeah, the first one, the arcade machine, I'm really proud of. My son and I built that together. It's all handcrafted and it's running a PC in there that we kind of Frankenstein together. So like I was telling you earlier, like I'm kind of a hoarder. Like a hoarder with PC stuff. So whenever like new tech comes out, I never throw the old tech away. I usually just put it in the garage. And so I was cleaning out the garage one day. I had all these PC cases, these old CPUs, these old GPUs, and we were kind of like, why don't we just put it together? And because, you know, like the emulators and the games and stuff don't really take that much to run, especially for like these type of games. So we just put something together and we just do all the classics on there. And it even got to a point to where we started manipulating it a little bit. Like after we had it fully built, we actually got like a Wii sensor and we started putting like gun games on there. So we hacked the Wii controller so that we could start doing the gun games like the Time Crisis and and stuff like that. So it's fully functional for that stuff as well. But
which Time Crisis are we talking about? Do you have the pedal down there as well?
Didn't go that far. I did see that on eBay.
But well, you just got to grab like a guitar pedal, and then you'd be good to go, right?
Yeah, I saw people hack like the steering wheel, the pedals for the steering wheels and stuff. I've seen people do that, but yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to go that far. The gun's good enough because it has buttons on there that you could just kind of map out. But yeah.
No, I'm excited to go try to build one.
I'll send you some links. Definitely, I learned some stuff along the way.
Oh man, I mean, I'll probably end up getting divorced, but it's fine. This is fine. This is okay. And yeah, so yeah, I guess the one last thing I had was because for me, a lot of my interest in technology stems from spending too much time watching science fiction after school, right? Like that's kind of where my love of like graphics and stuff all came from. Watching these things and thinking, oh, how does that get done? Or just hoping one day to just stand in a holodeck, right? Like that was kind of where I was at. Like I'm really wondering kind of what were some of the forces that really drew you into this world? Like it's I know it's really easy for a lot of people to be kind of like, I don't know, stereotyped or to be pushed in certain directions. Like, man, if I had listened to the people around me, I would have probably ended up being a bricklayer of some kind, right? Like that's where my path was headed because I'm a large person with large hands, right? So, but I don't know. I'd love to know like what brought you down this path and not other paths, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's a story in itself. Like you like you said, it's easy to get typecast, especially growing up in the Midwest as, you know, just an African American youth. Most people geared me more towards football and basketball. So I played it because I thought I had to, because I was supposed to. But in my heart of hearts, like I'm hanging out at the comic book store, like you were saying, where like when Pokemon first came out, I was playing Pokemon, playing Magic, just collecting like the Topps Marvel series. I still have them here. Just like all the geeky stuff that you weren't really supposed to be into, even though Steve Urkel kind of made it a little bit easier growing up, showing.
Well, man, like Jaleel White was also, he's the voice of Sonic, right? Like it's hard not to think, I don't know. He's also kind of a cool guy. So I don't know. Stephen Urkel is more where you want to be at.
Yeah, I mean, I was him many years for Halloween just because couldn't afford gifts, and I had the glasses already because like I wear contacts now, but my eyesight is so bad. I had like these big Coke bottle glasses, like the lens actually used to touch my eyelids, and so I kind of looked like Urkel back then. So it's kind of like throwing some suspenders, get a trick or treating bag, and you're off to the races. So yeah, Urkel definitely played a big part of my life growing up, but yeah, I mean, like I was like you're saying, it's on a tech bubble. Like my first system I had was a Tandy 1000 because my uncle used to build those down in Virginia. And then my aunt used to work at NASA down there in Newport News. So I had that science background just growing up, just because my family was already working in the field, and I kind of like really, really just engaged them because I thought that stuff was cool. Like I love space and everything about it. My aunt used to always send me stuff from NASA, like little postcards or whatever, just kind of showing me stuff they're working on. So that's stuff that definitely helped mold me as a youth. And then getting into like the Atari 2600 and then the NES and getting a duck hunt and stuff like that. Like just being able to see this technology grow, what like with us. I mean, I think that played a major part of it as well, which is why I still get excited about new tech because we grew up in an age where new tech was just like always coming out. So I mean, it's just like I remember the lump or the leap from NES to Sega Genesis, and you're seeing Sonic flying off the screen. And me as a kid, I'm just like, wow, Mario stays in the middle of the screen the entire game, and now we have a character that's off the screen and
Yeah.
we're still playing the game. So it's just like that stuff was just mind-boggling. And then playing or trying to play the Virtual Boy, it did give me a seizure as a kid.
Yeah, that thing will mess you up, man.
Yeah.
Don't.
I remember trying it at Toys R Us, and I came out of there just really sick. Like I was shaking and everything.
I played
But
Mario Tennis on that for all of 2 minutes before I had to get away.
yeah, I
So
played
bad.
Tetris in that weird red and black screen. Thought I was blind from it.
Well, man, like look at it now. Like it's so great. Like I'm so glad that you kind of followed your own path, right? And I hope that for anyone who's listening out there or who watches this later, it's like, you know what? It is cool to be into the things you're into. I think that's like, I don't know. I really wish that like in the 90s it wasn't cool to be into stuff, right?
No, not at all, which is why it's crazy now because, like, especially when the Black Panther came out, everybody was just into superhero movies. And I'm like,
Right.
I've been into this stuff since I was like, 8 I'm like, I used to, like, kids used to, like, chase me for this type of stuff. Now
Mm.
everybody's out there loving the Avengers and Black Panther and Spider Man. So I'm just like, I mean, it's good that it's happening. Like, the
Yeah.
nerds finally having their day, but I'm like, man, I tell my kids, like, this is stuff that kids used to try to beat you up for just
Yeah.
being into. So it's kind of crazy how that big turnaround happened. But
Well, I don't know. I think as long as people are happy being enthusiastic about what they're into, and like if people want to pursue whatever they're passionate about. So anyway, I hope that as it continues, you stay passionate because I love what you're doing, and I hope we see more of it. We're coming into the end of the show now, so I want to thank you for hanging out. Before you go, we know you've got the YouTube channel. We know you've got courses coming up. Links to all that stuff is in the description. But maybe tell the folks where they can find you on the internet if they want more Winbush in their life, which they definitely should.
yeah, as you said, YouTube is the best place to find me. And then I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I should know these links by now, but I think they are just slash Jonathan Winbush. I'm really bad with this.
I
And
think you've
then
got the branding unified across the
I
across
think
the
so.
space.
I know one of them is just slash Winbush, but I can't remember which one. But usually, if you type in Jonathan Winbush, I'll pop up on that platform. And then, as I was saying to you earlier, I'm going to start trying to do stuff on Twitch. I mean, I've been seeing the stuff that you've been live streaming, which has been something I've been terrified of doing before, like just live streaming your art live. But I've seen you do it week after week on Twitch and Behance. So I'm going to give it a shot. I have a
Yeah,
Twitch channel, so why not? We'll see how it goes. So you might see me streaming here very, very soon. And then,
nice.
yeah, just if you guys see me online, just give me a shout. I mean, I'm usually pretty active online. I have a Discord channel as well. If you guys want to join that, I'll have to, I don't know. Did I send you the link for that? Because Discord's a little bit,
I think it's all in the description. Yeah, I think.
okay. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I try to send people links and it like changes it. It's like your old link is expired. I'm just like, oh no, because I have all my Discord stuff linked to my videos. So it's like I have to go back and switch a lot of this out. But yeah, if you can find me on Discord.
Yeah. If you can manage to make Discord work, get on.
Yeah, we have a good group on there. A lot of cool people that, especially beginners in cinema and Unreal. So even Deadmau5 of all people jumped in there. He just he was on lockdown, had no more concerts going on this year. So he's like, I'm going to learn Unreal so I could do my own virtual concerts. And he actually jumped in our Discord and has been learning Unreal and stuff. Wow. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
Well, we probably saw that you already did work for Mixmaster Mike, so he doesn't want to get left behind.
He's beyond. He did a test the other night. It was pretty crazy. I think he's leaps and bounds over. Like he had a mocap suit on with his Deadmau5 avatar, and he's DJing live in his own virtual set on the internet. Like think of like Fortnite, but Deadmau5 doing it from his house. But so you can pay $5 to watch Deadmau5 live, and it's just crazy what he's doing over there. But.
He must be very fit. You were telling me that the mocap suit is very sweaty.
Yeah, it's funny because I watched the event. He had me join in, and at the end there, he's like, "Man, I gotta take this off." He's like, "I'm like burning up. It's like a sauna suit."
Why is it like a scuba thing?
I guess mocap artists are very agile, so I guess it's a way for them to burn more calories as they're working.
That's right. It's important to look good. You want something really skin tight when you're doing mocap. But why can't it be made out of I've got like a rash guard from jiu-jitsu here. Sweat just comes out of it. It's climate controlled. Get the technology, people. So good. Anyway, I digress. Thank you again so much for coming out. If people want to find more Evan Abrams stuff, at EC Abrams everywhere on the internet, subscribe to this channel. If you want more of this stuff, do let me know. I love doing interviews. I love meeting and speaking with people who are, who know more stuff about new things than I do. And so I get to learn something. The audience gets to learn something. It's great. Anyway, thank you so much, man. We're gonna sign it off from there. Thank you everyone for hanging out in the chat, and we'll see you maybe not next week because I didn't call anybody to get a guest on next week. So we'll figure it out after that.
Yeah, I'll come back. It's not a problem.
Yeah. It'll be the EC Abrams and Winbush time, man.
Yeah, I'll do it in a mocap suit this time. I was busy today. I couldn't jump into it, but
we only get. Yeah. We'll get you in virtual though. We'll have you join in as an avatar. That'll be
that'd be crazy.
Awesome. Well, I'll load up character animator, so I'll be a cartoon also. Then we'll really do it up.
We'll figure it out together. Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right. Bye for now, everybody.